Most coaching businesses will fail because they do not understand one essential business commandment. And when I say the word commandment, I really believe that this is a law in the business world. And those who truly understand it will succeed. It is really at the core of entrepreneurship. And those who understand it succeed in whatever industry that they're in. And those who do not fail. And most people forget, like in almost every industry, the vast majority of businesses that start up fail. I mean, we're talking like more than 90% businesses fail over and over again. So recently I've been seeing the trend of coaching going up, and I've actually met other people and worked with clients who are starting their own coaching businesses. And I can tell right away whether or not that coaching business is going to succeed based on the degree to which they understand this commandment. But before I break that down, some of you may be more or less familiar with, coaching in the coaching industry. So I want to give like a little breakdown, a whole lay of the land. So if you haven't heard of coaching, essentially, it's interesting because a lot of people actually disagree on defining what it is. But the idea essentially is it's personal training for the mind, right? So in the same way that personal training wasn't really a thing a few decades ago, people didn't really care so much about their physical health in that way. Partly because we lived very active lifestyles and, we weren't eating different foods and not having this sedentary lifestyle. So then personal training became a big thing. Those who are in great shape physically could then help other people. So coaching is the same thing mentally. So one way to differentiate it, some people think about, like therapy. Generally, one way to differentiate coaching and therapy is that therapy is more like assuming that whoever you're working with is not in a good state, they're not mentally healthy, and they really need help. It's like someone who's like injured physically, they go to the doctor's office or they go to the ER. And, like therapists, psychotherapists are more into that camp of like treating traumatic injuries to the psyche, so to speak. Whereas coaches are more so working with people who are already healthy psychologically, but they want to be in better health. So these aren't people that are just were in a car accident or, have like some serious wound they need to heal. These are people that are fine, but maybe they're a bit out of shape and they want to get in better shape, right? So coaching is really, the goal of it is that there's some kind of behavioral outcome that when you engage with a coach, by the time you get out of it, your behavior has changed for the better. But in changing behavior, necessarily you have to work a lot with beliefs. And the way that coaches go about working with beliefs is different than mentorship. Like mentorship is when you have someone who's been there, done that for decades. They're way ahead of you, and they're just giving you game advice on just how to navigate the same kind of predictable trials that they've navigated in that same exact path that you're walking. Coaching is different. This implies that the coach hasn't necessarily done everything that person is doing or has succeeded in the same way that person wants to succeed. It's more so coaches act like a mirror. It's a form of reflective inquiry, of asking the right questions so that people can start to see themselves in a new light and start to identify those core beliefs in their own way, how they're getting in their own way of achieving whatever they want to achieve, and helping them with goal setting or new perspectives and things like this. But it's different than education because in traditional pedagogy, you have the teacher that's kind of the knower, and then you have the student who is the unknowing, like the child, and then the teacher is kind of top down giving all of that knowledge, which can be really helpful for different things. But coaching isn't top down in that, and more so assumes intuition that whoever they're speaking to already has the answer within them. It implies agency and intuition and intelligence, that people can solve their own problems. They don't need to be treated like children. They don't need to be handheld through their problems in life. They just need to be asked the right questions. They just need to see things in a new light. So it's sort of like this dance that can take place. So I think coaching is a legitimate, practice and field and industry that needs to be taken seriously. And now it's starting to grow more and more. So I think I'm not opposed to coaching businesses at all. I'm actually very much in support of it. And in a way, that's part of my work is involves coaching as well. But So many of these coaching businesses that are starting up, the vast majority are going to fail. And the reason is because they do not understand the commandment of need. The commandment of need simply is, if you are, for your business to succeed, it must be solving a need. In other words, your business is not about you, it's about who you're serving. Everyone is interested in themselves. They all have problems that they're dealing with constantly. All of us have our own problems. But if your own problems are put above whoever you're trying to solve, your business will fail. So if you're starting a coaching business and actually the priority is solving your own money problems and it's not about helping the other person, then your business is going to fail. So here's what's happening with what I see with the coaching industry is this is the kind of logic that people start to go through when they just make the decision to, I want to become a coach. And I actually went through a similar sequence of thinking. It's like, look, I want to earn money, and I would like to earn money doing what I love. That's what I've been taught is like the goal. It's, for most people, it's unachievable, but I believe I can do it. I want to do what I love, and I want to do what I'm good at as well. I understand that I'm not going to start painting tomorrow and then get paid and like right away. But so a lot of people look at their lives, and naturally we're taught also to leverage your existing skills and knowledge to help other people, right? So a lot of people now have been so deep in the personal development world that they've reached a certain level where it's like, I've learned so much, I've gained so much from the trainings, from the books, from the various practices I've done, maybe mindfulness, meditation, yoga, all these kinds of things, gone so deep where it's like, this is actually a part of my skill and expertise. I can teach people these things and this can help them in the same way that it's helped me. So how can I start a business to help people? And they find coaching. They're like, okay, finally, coach, this is like a way that I can use all my expertise in personal development to help other people. And I can start a business doing this. So that's the general kind of logic. And then what happens is people just start to launch their own business and say, oh, I'm going to help you, and then these vague goals, like these vague goals of like, I'm going to help you achieve more clarity on your life and all this kind of stuff. And if we really were to dive into the people starting this business and we ask them the question simply of, what need are you solving? What is the particular need that your client is suffering from? What's the pain point that they're suffering from all the time that you have the specific expertise to meet and that you can clearly demonstrate that you can solve that problem, that need for them? What is that need? And more often than not, people have a very vague understanding of that need. And because it's not specific, because it's not honed in on what they're actually solving, then their business will fail. You're building your construction on sand. There's no way your business can succeed if you don't understand the need that you are solving. That is literally the ultimate business secret. That's literally, if there is one thing, if I were to mentor like my own son, for instance, and I were to tell him one thing that he needed to know about business, it would be this commandment. For your business to succeed, it must be solving a need. Okay, so with that being said, how can you actually make your coaching business succeed? What needs can we identify? That's something I'm not going to break down all the different needs. That's something that those are part of my resources that I'm not going to give out freely. I give a lot of value freely. That's one of the things I'm going to keep away, for people who are committing. That's the reason. But one simple way to think about it, one reliable way, is if your coaching is helping solve problems related to wealth, so for their careers, for earning more money, for anything that's financially related and career related, people will pay for that. People would definitely, because that's solving an important problem and helping meet that need to a providership that they need to provide in their life, and have security. So that's absolutely a real need. And you can also look at the Maslow hierarchy of needs. That's one way you could think about needs. I think there's better ways to look at it, but that's a really helpful one. So wealth is a really helpful one. Another helpful one, obviously, is health. So anything related to improving people's health, people are always looking for that kind of thing. So if you have a clear modality, uh, various different practices, whether it be nutrition, strength training, whether it be, anything around health, people will also pay for that. That's with all of the various different needs. It is the positioning is everything. That's the marketing. Literally is positioning. So you can position yourself in a certain way that you can identify like your micro niche and really excel at that. Then you'll be great. But it has like help is definitely a very reliable one. And the last one is relationships. That's a huge one. Dating, anything with dating, with finding a partner, with intimacy, all of these kind of things, huge problems between men and women, or other forms of partnership. People would really struggle in that area, and they would gladly pay for some guidance. So coaching businesses, there's also guidance businesses. Some people are now identifying as guides instead of coaches and all of this. But once again, is this really about you, about serving other people, or is it about your ego? You have to really ask that question, and the market decides, not you. The market decides whether or not what you're trying to do is truly valuable. But those are the three areas that people will genuinely seek. As far as spiritual guidance, that's a topic for a whole nother conversation, and why I don't think that spiritual guidance is a solid basis for a coaching business unless it's grounded on the same tradition and lineage between the coach and the coachee, or between, by that point it's actually becomes like you're fulfilling the archetype of a priest. Essentially, it's good that you would be aware of that. If you're not aware of that, and then it starts to get into the various different philosophical conflicts of mixing money and religion. And spiritual money and spirituality, and that's a whole thing I'm going to be diving into more in future. But yes, if it's because you just did a bunch of ayahuasca ceremonies and you think like you're this amazing spiritual person, or because you've done these great things in terms of personal development, and that is your basis, or your basis is making money, um, your business is going to fail. And frankly, I don't feel bad for you. I think that's good, so that it's a good smack in the face from reality to realize that you were not actually trying to help other people. You're making it seem that way. And there's something beautiful about the spiritual path of entrepreneurship that will give you that immediate feedback about whether or not what you're doing is truly valuable to others. So if you want to learn how to cultivate more value for other people in your offers, in both how you present them, but actually how you deliver it, and everything around creating value for other people, and making sure that whatever business you're starting, whether it is coaching or any other form of one-person business, if you really want to understand like the psychological principles and science to make that succeed, then consider following the work on this channel, my newsletter, and the various different resources I'm going to be sharing, because that's really what this channel is dedicated to. I'm really hoping to create a hub for those of us who don't want to make these same mistakes that we're seeing in this saturated coaching market and all of this. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in. And as always, till next time, peace.